Good to see you back. This film has a great deal to recommend. Comedy skits that don't grow old no matter how many times you've seen them, fabulous one-liners, great comic characters, an iconic and instantly recognisable central cast, and plain, simple, silly fun. It is A Night at the Opera from 1935. The one quality that every Marx Brothers film has is the thrill and expectation of unrelenting madness and mayhem. To give you a sense of what to expect on screen, I want to give you a sense of the off-screen madness that the brothers brought to everything that they did. I'm certain that some of their funniest moments were either not allowed or not able to be captured on camera. This was the Marx Brothers' first picture for MGM, having been lured from Paramount by Irving Thalberg, who was a bridge partner and close friend of Chico Marx. Irving and Chico shared a love for gambling, and on realising that the brothers' days with Paramount were numbered, Chico negotiated the move to MGM with Thalberg over a game of bridge. Thalberg had a habit of calling people in for meetings, then keeping them waiting in his office for hours while he attended other meetings. One day during pre-production for this picture, Thalberg kept the Marx Brothers waiting for several hours in his secretary's office while he was in his own office making phone calls. When Thalberg's secretary went home for the day, the brothers decided to push the office filing cabinets against Thalberg's door, trapping him. After that, Thalberg kept his appointments with the Marx Brothers, but would often interrupt his meetings with them and step out to attend other meetings, again keeping them waiting for hours. One day Thalberg returned to his office to find Groucho, Chico and Harpo sitting in his office completely naked and roasting potatoes in his office fireplace. Thalberg sat down with them, had a potato, and never missed or interrupted another meeting with them. This was the first Marx Brothers film that didn't include Zeppo, and so Thalberg suggested a pay cut. Groucho countered, "Without Zeppo we're worth twice as much," which was true, although they didn't get a pay rise. Developing the film's script had its challenges. The film's first screenwriter, James Kevin McGuinness, suggested a plot based on Harpo Marx being the world's greatest tenor, who never sings or speaks throughout the film. Thalberg rejected the idea and McGuinness was sacked. Screenwriters George Seaton and Robert Pirosh were hired to fix early drafts of the script, but Groucho Marx objected to the inexperience and so were replaced. Els Boasberg was engaged to write some of the jokes and add new scenes, his most notable contribution being the famous stateroom scene. Thalberg often hounded Boasberg to complete his material until finally Al called to say that the material was ready and waiting in his office. When Thalberg and the Marx Brothers showed up, they found no script and no Boasberg. They eventually discovered the script ripped up and nailed to the ceiling. It took them hours to piece together the script, but they were pleased with what they found. On the stage, the Marx Brothers always road tested their material, changing it based on how the audience responded. While making movies, they'd never had fewer opportunities to do this, so Thalberg encouraged them to go on a lengthy publicity and live preview tour of the West Coast before filming began. They performed 4 shows a day with screenwriters Al Boasberg and Maury Riskand watching each performance and judging the audience's reaction. Unless a joke produced roaring laughter, it was rewritten, refined, or discarded. Director Sam Wood and the brothers clashed frequently. Wood had an ulcer, so he started each day with a big glass of milk. The brothers soon had it delivered to him in a baby bottle, a joke that Wood never got. Wood began imposing fines for being late to the set, which Groucho supported at first, until Chico and Harpo nailed his garage door shut, making him the first to pay the $50 penalty. When the three began making more money betting on who would be the next to be fined, Wood abandoned the idea. While their off-screen antics were hilarious, the materials they captured on-screen are arguably just as funny. The famous stateroom scene was originally conceived as a cheap laugh, having Groucho crowded out of his room and changing his pants in the corridor. Refined through audience testing, it ended up with 15 people in the scene who all tumble out when Mrs. Claypool opens the door. Groucho's final food order includes tomato, orange and grape juice and pineapple juice, rare, medium, well done and overdone roast beef, 8 pieces of French pastry and 2 fried, 2 poached, 2 scrambled, 2 medium boiled, 19 hard boiled and 1 duck egg. At the suggestion of producer Irving Thalberg, the film marked a change of direction, with the brothers recast as more helpful and less anarchic characters, saving most of their comic attacks for the villains. The film was also more classically structured, weaving in more clarity to the story, and with subplots like romance for the minor characters. Though some Marx Brothers fans disliked these changes, the film became a hit in part because it contained some of the brothers' funniest and most memorable routines. Groucho Marx said that this was his favourite of their movies. The film originally was to have begun with each of the Marx Brothers taking turns roaring instead of Leo the Lion, MGM's mascot. But Louis B. May didn't allow it. But it was used years later for a re-release trailer for the film. The stateroom scene in particular has been very influential, appearing in the Bob Newhart show titled Bum Voyage, in music videos like Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and Sting's All This Time. And Seinfeld crammed the 4 main characters into a small janitor's closet so that Elaine could get Chinese food delivered. Contemporary reviews have been very positive. Andre Senwald of the New York Times wrote, "If A Night at the Opera is a trifle below their best, it is also considerably above the standard of laughter that has been our portion since they quit the screen." Variety reported, "The comedy material is always good and sometimes brilliant." Film Daily wrote, "This should be a laugh fest with all types of audiences." John Mosher in the New Yorker wrote, "This is a good Marx Brothers film, good as any that they have ever done." Roger Ebert admitted, while The Night at the Opera contains some of their best work, he always fast-forwarded over the sappy interludes involving Kitty Carlisle and Alan Jones. I'd agree. The worst thing about Marx Brothers films are the musical numbers, unless of course those numbers are being performed by Groucho. Premiere voted this one of the 50 greatest comedies of all time. The American Film Institute ranked it as the 85th greatest American movie of all time, in the top 100 funniest American movies, and amongst the greatest movie musicals. In 1983, A Night at the Opera was added to the National Film Registry by the United States Library of Congress. It's among the 1001 movies you must see before you die. So, the reason you should watch this particular film is quite simple. It's a Marx Brothers movie and it's amongst their best. So what I'd suggest you do is that you go to our website, find our virtual screenings page, find the link to this particular film, click on it and watch it. As always, see what you think. Come back, let others know your thoughts on the film, whether you'd recommend it for them. And then we'll see you back again in the not too distant future for our next classic films review. See you next time.